You're listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris.
Okay, dudes, let's walk this sucker.
On Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Mr. Dan Farris. Dan, how you doing, man?
Hey, Heidi, John, the small.
Hello.
The loveliest couple in all the Sioux Empire.
Oh,
I don't know
my.
about any of that.
It's something else. Seriously. You guys should, open a marriage counseling place.
We should.
Like a university.
Yeah.
Have people enroll.
And then they could
bribe us.
They could
make
grease
sure
you
they
under
get
the
in.
table.
Yeah. I
Oh,
like this plan.
I don't want to do that, but I really do want, and I think Dan should be involved in this. I think we need to start some sort of company where we do surveys and polls. Just because I read surveys, we've got this little feature called surveys and studies and such, and it's always either a survey or a study, and they're always the dumbest things. And I was like, I'd like to get in on some of this study money, because apparently there's money in it, because there's a lot of different companies doing that. So I would like to have our own survey and study company, and we have to come up with a really funny name for it.
And we need to monetize it, John. You always forget that part.
Thank you, Dan.
See?
Thank you, Dan.
This is why Heidi loves me.
This is why I drink.
This is John, you are what Heidi drinks. Which brings us back to opening our Marriage Counseling Institute.
But I was thinking, if we're going to do it where we do surveys and studies and we always put out polls, we should call the company Light, because they always have like a Harris poll. It should be. We'd have, according to a light poll. See, stripper poll,
Oh Lord,
fire poll. I don't know.
Mighty.
Have to come up with something. We'll think of something much better. So we got some fun things we're going to chat about today. Got a lot of stuff in your box there.
First of all, it is the 18th. It's a Monday, and for some reason I tripped over this. It happens to be National. And boy, this can get either heavy duty or we're not even going to touch it, but it is National Forgive Mom and Dad Day.
Oh, wow. Forgive them for what?
For whatever,
Well,
man. Their moms, a lot of moms and
people's
dads.
families aren't
It's
as,
like this, John. You
Yeah.
know, moms and dads don't mean to, but they do.
So sometimes being a parent, yeah, truly, sometimes when you have to be a parent rather than a friend, that can get kind of dicey. So today's the day, kids. Pick up the phone and
And
call mom and dad.
some parents weren't very good at being parents. So
Mom
there are
and
a lot of
Dad,
people who do have to forgive, sadly.
You have to love your children enough to let them hate you.
That's true.
That's
There
deep,
you go.
Dan.
Yeah,
That is deep.
Go to my T-shirt site. Those are only $21.99.
And there's a new survey.
Be offended. The survey there that John put together doesn't make any money.
A light poll.
Which is why Heidi drinks.
I think that rounded out nicely.
You could also donate to Heidi's alcohol fund on
There
that
you
site.
go. We're going to do a GoFundMe page for John just because he has ideas that don't make any money.
I'm good at those. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour on Sunny 93.3.
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris.
Excuse me, haven't I seen you on the MTV?
On Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Mr. Dan Farris. It's time now for manly men doing manly things in a manly fashion.
We're going to talk about the brain. We're going to talk about culture a little bit. We're going to talk about worldliness.
Oh, yeah.
Because real simple, manly men, you kind of get the image, knuckle dragging, snorting. Blah, 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 blah. Well, no, man. A real man, snorting. Speak a foreign language.
Oh, that'd be a manly thing.
Yeah, and I'm not really one to talk. I know a couple
Poquito.
naughty words in Polish, if you want them. Schlons and dupa.
No, we can't say those on the radio.
Schlons and dupa?
What does that
They're
mean?
just body parts, man.
Okay.
That'd be your wiener in your butt, John.
Okay. Well, can we say that?
I don't know. I haven't been on the air in 20 years. Is wiener okay or not?
Gee, I wonder why he hasn't been on the air in 20 years.
'Cause I'm second guessing myself with wiener.
If we're talking about Anthony Weiner, I think you can say that.
Go figure out a foreign language. And this is so strange because the big thing, of course, and I know in the Sioux Falls School District is Spanish as a second language. And that's been in place in elementary schools for a long time. When I was in school, elementary school in Minneapolis, Bremer Elementary School, this is no kidding. The school district was German.
Oh, yeah.
In third or fourth grade, you started German.
I took a year of German, and then after that I switched over to Spanish and did all Spanish.
Did you have to have a German name?
I don't remember. I had a Spanish name because I picked the dumbest Spanish name I could have possibly thought of. At the time, there were these jeans called Pepe jeans that were popular. Remember those?
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
So I was like, and I get to pick first. And that was always a popular name, was Pepe. So I was like, I'll be Pepe. And then there was a girl in the class that I actually had a crush on her.
Uh-oh.
And she goes, okay, my last name is Small. She goes, so your name is Small Peepee?
Perfect.
I was like, oh, why in the world did I pick Pepe? What a dumb name. And I picked it myself.
John is the reason God invented therapists.
Yeah, so I got that going for me.
Yeah, so for
nice.
foreign language, it's pretty cool. Glom onto it. There's a lot of ways to learn it, and it exercises the brain, and it can make you, sound a little smarter. And you can swear at people in language they don't understand, which I think is fascinating.
Do you speak enough of any language to actually understand what they're saying? Or
I
no?
don't. As a kid, I grew up. My grandmother and a lot of my aunts and uncles, from the old country, they spoke Polish in the home.
Yeah.
They did, so I was around that a lot, and I could understand, but it's pretty much faded. I can still count to 12 in German.
That's nice.
A lot of good that's going to do me.
I heard a lot of Swedish growing up from the Borgeson side of the family, and I learned patty cake in Swedish, which I still actually remember.
One of the things, I'm kind of getting a fairly good grasp on English, just finally. So 40-some years of that.
And that's the thing. I mean, keep in mind, I've used the expression, this will be the 7th time just on this segment, wiener.
That's a German word, by the way. So he's just saying.
It is.
See?
It is.
Together.
Sure, it's manly men. If you're not sure about the whole man thing, again, I can't stress it enough. Check out people like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Tim Tebow, love Tim.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris.
Gary Sinise, who rocks, Chuck Norris. And don't skimp on the Jesus Christ.
Amen, brother. This is Manly Man doing manly things in a manly fashion. Thank you for listening to Sunny 93.3.
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show, now featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris
You heard it on your Walkman radio?
on Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris. Time now for Water Cooler Talk, brought to you by Aqua One.
Aqua One. Water by Halverson's, best water conditioning experts in the world.
They do
Speaking
a good
of, and water, has been the big issue now.
It's everywhere,
and it's
right?
going to keep going because there's still more snow to melt.
Melting.
Ground and
Gonna have some nice weather coming up, and it's gonna be good.
But here's the other annoyance, and this is the first time I can remember, really, in years in this town. I have now numbered 3 different friends on Facebook have posted posts about blowing out tires in potholes.
Oh yeah, it's been a
really?
big deal.
It is a huge, it's brutal out
Minnesota
there.
Avenue's been rough.
Brutal out there. Yeah, because you're driving along and you dodge one, then you hit 4 more.
Yeah.
I hit one about a week ago where I said stuff, John and Heidi. I did.
Was it in German?
It wasn't. I
Polish.
did stuff. But here's the good news, and we'll see how it shakes out. City folk, them politicians downtown, Teresa Staley, friend of the show, and Pat Starr.
Yeah, they had a big press conference.
Well, they're digging for more do-re-mi for pothole funding.
And I tried to go to that press conference, but we had water pouring in at the time, so we were kind of preoccupied with our own problems.
Yeah, and again, everybody's experiencing it, and man, it can beat up your car big time. It can do a lot of damage. There is a pothole hotline. I don't know how far you'll get with it, but that number is 367-8002. That number again, 367-8002.
There's also a pothole. that sounds so
I
funny.
think it's an app.
Yeah, it's a pothole
So
app.
you
It
can
is.
go on there and
Have
say,
you ever thought
here's
about-
I found a pothole that you need to
Pothole
know
just
about.
sounds like a terrible thing, doesn't it? Why do we call them that?
Really?
It's a pothole. You pothole. That just doesn't it sound like some sort of naughty thing?
Okay.
Don't drag me into your
I just
dark,
think it
dark
sounds-
universe, John.
So they do have a pothole app, which up until now I didn't know sounded dirty, but apparently it does. And if you go on there, if you find a pothole, you should report it, because if you don't, and they don't know the potholes there, they can't go fill them in. And I know some of the folks that fill those potholes listen to the program. They'll call and make requests while they're doing it. So good folks out there, they will fill them. And I've actually, when they requested a song one time, I told them where a pothole was. On my way home, it was filled in. So you can do it if you let them know.
And some say there is no God.
Yeah.
But there you go. I don't know whether they're going to get the dough. They'll probably have to take it out of the fund that was set aside to kill all the coyotes running around this town. So then we're going to have just another bigger problem.
What if we fill the potholes with the coyotes?
With the coyotes.
There you see it. 2 problems.
2 birds, 1 stone.
You got, or
Why haven't we thought of this sooner?
or they'll just do what they eventually do. tax the homeowners. Because that's so easy.
There you go. Well, this has been Water Cooler Talk, brought to you by Aqua One. Coming up, entertainment news of the day. But before we get to that, we're going to be chatting with our friends from Prairie Real Estate Group. We have Jeff coming up in just a bit.
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris.
What is that thing you're doing?
It's technical. It's one of our little toys.
On Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris. Time now for entertainment news of the day.
Celebrities are fabulous. Fabulous. Were you a fan of NSYNC, Heidi, or John, the boy band NSYNC?
No.
I got to play a lot of their music because I was a wedding DJ back when those guys were like hot.
I was kind of beyond the whole boy band phase when they came about.
She was more into man
my little
bands at the time.
cousins were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't really have a horse in that race. I just knew they were huge in the 90s. And Lance Bass was in that. Well, Justin Timberlake, he was a member of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's certainly done okay for
and
himself.
Joey Fatone.
Joey Fatone, yeah. I think Joey Fatone opened a chain of wiener stands or something.
Did he?
I think so.
I know he's on Impractical
I could be
Jokers
making that
all
up.
the time.
In fact, he's got a hot dog stand in Sisset in South
Does
Dakota.
he really?
Yes, he sells French hot dogs, John.
French hot dog.
Well, Lance Bass is
Don't believe anything Dan says.
Lance Bass has produced a movie about that era, and not just about NSYNC, but the other boy bands that were involved with the guy who headed that whole thing up. That
Lou?
Yes, Lou.
Lou Pearlman.
Lou Pearlman.
How did you know that?
Because I remember watching a program. He was kind of an interesting dude.
Well, he ended up, he went to jail.
Yeah.
Turns out it was like a $300 million Ponzi
Embezzlement.
scheme.
There was a...
How? Like what? He was stealing from the boys?
He was ripping off the boy bands big time.
Who better to rip off than a bunch of young kids that are just excited to get in front of a group and sing? They're like, oh, I get this opportunity and we're going to get paid. He's like, yeah, millions are coming in and you'll get dozens of those dollars. So
that was kind
I don't know that it was quite that bad.
How it worked out. Well, for instance, NSYNC had just unloaded 10 million album sales. Were at 10 million.
Yeah.
And Lance Bass says, yeah, this Lou guy handed them each an envelope with their checks in it, $10,000.
Yeah.
That was
what?
it. That was it. Lance Bass saying, I remember looking at that going,
doesn't quite seem
yeah, this
right.
doesn't add up.
It's like, what do you boys know? You dropped out of school before you could go to math.
Yeah, so I guess it's a pretty cool documentary. It involves other boy bands from that genre that this Lou guy represented, and so and apparently it's going to run on YouTube. So
I'll have to check and see if any of them want to come on the program for Movie Star Monday.
I would guess, with the exception of Justin Timberlake, they're all available, John.
Probably. I've got an interview coming up with... Oh, I'm not going to actually say it because I don't want to jinx it. I don't like to announce until I actually have it like lined up for sure. But I've got one that a child star that I'm excited to talk to. I'm not going to mention it on the air.
That really clears that up.
Right.
Just a child actor. A couple of them, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ron Howard.
No.
Opie.
Nope.
No.
Opie Cunningham. Little Opie Cunningham.
Then we'll stop guessing now.
There's a picture of Aaron Carter. He looks horrible.
Homeless.
Put down the drugs, Aaron.
What in the...
Never ends well.
Is he homeless? What is going on there? That's not a good photo of him.
All right,
this doesn't translate well to the radio, does it?
No, not really.
Heidi had to walk around the other side.
I had to look on the other side.
Well, you just cleared up. You go, hey, if you got a minute, if you care, just punch up a recent image of Aaron Carter.
There you go. See, that was easy.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you for entertainment news, my friend.
My pleasure, John. Just doing my job, man.
And it is a job well done. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Coming up, we actually have our Movie Star Monday guest for today. And his name is Eddie Deason. He was in the movie Grease. He was in the movie Polar Express. He was the boy of the voice of the little know-it-all boy in that.
Love Eddie.
He's the first ever computer geek from the movie War Games. And Pee Wee Herman was actually kind of maybe crafted after Eddie Deason. So going to chat with him coming up in just a bit for Movie Star Monday.
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, with an extra hour of fun, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris. On Sunny 93.3.